Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're doing a recap and review of Ready to Love Season 3 Episode 4 Boss Moves. So if you're new here, smash the subscribe button to continue to get quality content as I tend to post daily or every other day. If you like this video, hit the like button and also drop a comment down in the comment section as I do engage with my subscribers. So without further ado, let's jump into this video. So it starts out where we have Nephew Tommy, who's now meeting with the guys in his Tommy Tavern, basically trying to get an idea of where the guys are at with what they're looking for, and that he wants to let them know that they have the upper hand this week and that they're going to send 2 ladies home. So let's talk about this new love that's budding between Chris and Naya. And you know what? Once again, right now, they're the only functional couple that seems to be here. They have this connection. She actually kisses him in front of the group and he kisses her back. They're openly flirting, and it kind of leaves you to believe that they're going to, go pretty well before any of the drama starts. And you can actually see that some of the other women are not finding a match that cares for them like what we see with Chris and Naya. So, I honestly like this particular couple. It might not be a big fan of a lot of people, but they're definitely trying to show that they're ready to love, and they're actually trying to do that with each other. So, you guys, let me know, what you guys think regarding Naya and Chris. They seem to be open. They definitely seem like they have a genuine interest, but we shall see. So now, we see where we have both Calfani and Denise playing a little game of pool. And here's the thing, there's a process when it comes to this show of people trying to mix and mingle and get to know each other. But we now have a situation where we have Adriana, who is now trying to figure out what she have in a connection with Denise. Now, for most part, that's the purpose of the show, to see whose connection is deeper, and that's what you would find with a lot of these shows, unless it's like Married at First Sight where you're already coupled off. But with this particular show, it's everybody trying to see who's the best fit for them. The issue with this is that there was a conversation where Denise was saying how Rashid is her man, and of course, Denise is like, hold on a second. I thought Rashid was your man. But you're trying to, kind of dip your toes in the water with Calfani, who, of course, Denise is definitely trying to see, what she has with Calfani. I guess there's some unspoken understanding that Denise have that your man is over there, my man is over here, so just back off. So obviously it's going to be an ongoing triangle with these two. And then, of course, Denise finally gets her time with Calfani. And I don't know if he's going to be feeling the fact of her insecurity. So we'll see. So now, to kind of add a little fuel to the ongoing issue between her and Denise, Adriana decides to have a sit-down conversation with Simone and Edwin and, of course, Rashid in regards to the fact that during the elimination week, she brought up that Rashid looks like a narcissist. And it had something to do with the whole thing of him being a frat, him being light-skinned, and, all of this thing. And then it turns into a conversation, which is, a subject that goes on in the community of colorism. And, the thing is that, of course, we had Simone speak on her issue with, that she had to go through with colorism. the situation, of course, where Denise being, a dark-skinned woman, whether or not she had to deal with colorism and things like that. And it really brought to the table a conversation that was a teaching moment. But at the same time, with her bringing this to the forefront, meaning Adriana, it definitely is starting to cause a rift in the house. And then, Rashid is looking like, wait a minute, I'm hurt. I try to be nice to people. I thought we was cool. I've had brief conversation with her, but I never got from her that she thought I was this narcissist. And, it's kind of like gossiping before the facts. I mean, you guys, let me know what you think. Do you think that Adriana should have said, you know what, I think we all should have a talk about this, or the fact of how she did it, where she went and then kind of put it out to the group like that? Should she have that one-on-one with Rashid and let him know what was going on? A lot of this could have been for drama. Maybe they wanted them to have a sit-down conversation, But it definitely increases the beef in the household, which we would definitely see later, that it would tend to take on a whole different level with this conversation between Denise and Adriana. But it was definitely, something that took Rashid by surprise. And, in the meantime, Denise is enjoying herself with Kalfani. But, she still, because of the triangle that I spoke of earlier, again, she brings up the fact of how you spending time with, Denise when, you supposed to be building a connection with me. You can't isolate in this type of setting. Honestly, everybody needs to figure out who has the best connection. And when you do assume that you are now going to be focused on one person, then at that point, you need to set some boundaries with other people. But right now, nobody has actually done that. So we'll see what happens next. So we are definitely seeing a connection with Brian and Alex. They are definitely feeling each other. I actually like the chemistry between Brian and Alex. And their date that they had, which we'll see a little bit more about that in a second, I really think that this is a match. I mean, you guys let me know what you think about Brian and Alex. But they had their little, I think they call paddle boats. And I made a mistake on that last week. I think I called them canoes when it was Chris and Naya. So these are paddle boats. And, the fact that they were actually, meaning Alex and Brian, vibing with each other, building a connection, I could definitely see, them going further. She seems to really like him. He likes her. But, they're taking it slow. And I think that's exactly how that should go, They get to talking about, because, after they were done, they have a sit-down conversation where they have a little bit of wine and, created a romantic setting. I think Alex did. She wanted to make it real nice and sweet. And he was definitely asking some pretty, important questions about, what she's looking for when it comes to, having kids, things like that. And they were really having some quality conversation to really, truly get to know each other and to see if, this is something that can go somewhere. And I definitely think Alex is on board with the situation. However, when it comes to Brian, as we'll see later, and I'll definitely elaborate on, there is a little bit of interest elsewhere. So again, this is a setting where, you gotta kind of figure out which person you're going to have a true interest with, because there's an elimination process. This is going to be broken down to final 3 couples at the end of this show. But with these two, I hope that they stick it out, and I would love to see where Brian and Alex go. So then there was a little sidebar conversation that Rashid had brought up with regards to Edwin, who I think either is an officer or was an ex-officer, and about the state of affairs with policing in this country. And he really gave some really in-depth thoughts. For a moment, he kept it interesting. And it was definitely a teaching moment from his experience as being an officer. However, there were a few people, like for example, Shay, who after a while she was like, you know what, I'm not trying to hear this. You know, I'm here looking for love and being ready to love. And there were quite a few folks that kind of left the conversation. And listen, I mean, it's a very difficult conversation to have sometimes when it comes to that. And at the same time, the whole conversation with colorism, it was some interesting moments in this episode, some teaching moments. So some people left. Adriana stayed because she was definitely interested in what he had to say, and she was trying to be respectful as well. So now we have this other situation going on where we show Winter trying to get to know Jay. And, you know, they're trying to build upon a connection and see what Jay is trying to figure out what's going on with her. As I stated in my last episode, I actually like Jay with Joy. Jay likes Joy. However, Jay also is trying to find out what's going on with Winter. And of course, Winter invites him to have a private conversation with no shirt on. However, we have Simone, who is, you know, trying to figure out what's going on with Winter and Jay. And of course, she's sneaking and creeping around corners. And she feels that, you know, Jay is in the wrong. You got caught with your hand in the cookie jar and things like that. Then she decides that when she sees Jay and Joy together, she's going to try to spill the beans on Jay to kind of bust him out in front of Joy. Now, here's the thing. Again, if they were exclusive, then, you know, I think that she has reason to say, hey, you know, Joy, you know, something going on. Confront Jay. Listen, Jay, if you exclusive with Joy, what you doing over here with Winter? But they're not exclusive. And again, this is the type of show where everybody is, you know, kind of mingling and getting to know each other. And honestly, Jay and Joy, you know, kind of played it cool with the accusations. Hey, what you doing going up in Winter's room with no shirt on, having a conversation? And, you know, Joy took it in stride. However, I do think the seeds have been sown, and it's definitely in the back of Joy's mind, like, okay, what are we doing? Your interest is elsewhere. But we'll see whether Simone's statement had an impact on them. So let's talk about this highlight of the evening where it kind of comes to an head with Adriana want to have a conversation with Denise about everything that was talked about with this whole, and it started from her narcissism comment all the way up to them at the pool where Adriana is talking to Rasheed about what was said in the elimination with the women last week. And, you know, Denise is pretty much like, you know what? I said what I said. I understand you might not like it. And at the same time, you know, Adriana is like, look, you know, you can't just go around dropping the narcissism term on somebody when you really don't know them. And I honestly think that there was some errors on both sides of this. Number one, you know, Denise don't know him. She only know him from certain things, and I think she's just being triggered by seeing things because of her experience with one of her exes, who she did explain that she almost lost her life, and the fact that she was missing for 4 days, things like that. And here, I will say narcissistic abuse, it can be devastating. It devastates a person's psyche. It really causes damage. You really have to, in some cases, go through some serious counseling after narcissistic abuse, okay? At the same time, you can't drop that on everybody. You don't know the situation. There's a whole spectrum when it comes to the cluster B and NPD when it comes to that. So, and on the flip side, I just think that all of them, the three of them, should have had this conversation instead of Adriana kind of telling a group of people. Again, it could have been for drama. The production team might have wanted that to happen. We don't know. But the thing is, it really went into this whole thing, and especially with Denise being a little bit more straightforward and direct. She was cutting Adriana off. She wanted to get her statement out. It was a little disrespectful. And at the same time, it was a conversation that was needed, but I honestly think that Rashid should have been there as well, so everybody could have been on the same page instead of having sidebar conversations behind each other's back. I mean, it got kind of out of hand. It was loud. But let me ask you guys, do you think at the end of this, because one thing Denise said, she's not apologizing for what she thought. She feel the way she feel. And at the same time, you know, Adriana has her thoughts. She feel the way that she feel. Do you think that this was handled in the manner that it should have been? Do you think they handled it the right way? At the same time, they ended this conversation saying, are we cool? And they said, yeah, we good. Do you believe that they are? I think it's going to be more because they also have the issue with Kalfani. So we'll definitely see whether, you know, going forward, what's going to be the situation between Denise and Adriana. And of course, Adriana has a conversation now with Rashid. Rashid is still hurt, but at the same time, when he hears about her experience, meaning Denise, with being narcissistically abused in a previous relationship, it kind of softens his heart toward her, which definitely kind of explains the fact that he's not a narcissist, because narcissists don't have empathy. And if you know about the spectrum of NPD, one of the biggest things is that they don't have empathy. He was definitely empathic when it comes to Denise's experience. And I honestly think that they need to all sit down and have a conversation about it. But we'll see what happens with them moving forward. So Alex is definitely excited about everything that's going on. Alex had her date earlier and everything. And the thing is, there's this triangle kind of going on between Alex and Alicia, because we see that we have Alicia. I mean, she's planning this intimate setting for them, and they're vibing. Again, this goes back to my earlier conversation that I said about Joy, Jay, and Winter, and some of the other couples who, if you have not decided to be exclusive with each other and you're getting to know each other, it's open game. Now, if Brian is exclusive with Alex, then Alicia, there's a Houston, we have a problem. Again, and I wanted to throw that in there because they're in Houston. But honestly, Brian is trying to figure this thing out between the two of them. Now, if there was something said with Alex or Alicia that, hey, I'm exclusive to one over the other, then, Brian has some issues that he needs to sort out. But I don't think he's done that. And you guys correct me. Hey, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But at this point, we have Shay, who, like Simone, who has no connection with anybody, is being a busybody and going around saying, hey, Brian is sneaking and creeping in the other room with the other girl. So let me know what you think about this situation. Was he busted? Did he become exclusive with one while sneaking and creeping with the other, as they say, and I say it again, sticking their hand in the cookie jar when they shouldn't have been. And I mean, so much so that Shay, who should be making a connection, is getting the other girl involved with trying to get her into this situation to really blow this whole triangle up. Now we got a bigger mess, which definitely creates drama for the show. But Shay is looking like, I'm trying to keep it real. Girl, you need to keep it real and find a connection, or maybe you don't need to be here. I mean, get out of other people's business and go find you some business. Go find your own business, instead of being a snitch. I mean, Simone and Shay, obviously, I'm wondering, are they going to be the next two on the elimination block? Because they have not made a connection with anybody, besides the fact of being in everybody else's business. So we'll see, but it definitely put something on her mind where she's like, okay, Brian, what are you doing? I need to kind of think this through again. So we'll see. All right, so that's the end of our show. And what I normally do is I'll do post notification shout out, comment down in the comment section below, and I will shout you out. So without further ado, our first shout out goes to Showie Cooper. Thank you so much for engaging in the channel. I really appreciate it. Keep watching and stay tuned. And then our second one is Andre Johnson. Thank you so much as well for your comment and engaging in the channel. So until next week, like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you then.